Just like the title said, a Nokko with insane casting speed buff is insane. It will unlock the Warframe's full power, making him an immortal mushroom bomber. I know you are eager to know the build setup, so I'm dropping it immediately at the start of the video. You can try it now, but I strongly recommend you spend a couple of minutes on this video, as I will try to explain everything about this build and how to play it. By the way, please consider liking the video and subscribing at the end to help support the channel. Thank you so much, and now, let's get into the guide. Basically, Nokko's kit is all about mushroom bombing, dealing massive damage with his 4th skill. His other abilities are more like support to his ultimate skill, and I'm really happy that Digital Extremes made Nokko a caster Warframe, a character that can kill enemies without using any weapon platforming builds. The Warframe only needs his abilities to create chaos in the field. Okay, let me give a brief breakdown on how his abilities work. His first skill, Stink Brain, which is kind of a funny name, creates a large mushroom that can deal viral damage and procs its status. It also can lull enemies and put them to sleep. You can create 3 active Stink Brain on the field, and each of them can pulse and trigger the viral damage and its status effect. Basically, I use this skill for the viral procs, as the more stack an enemy get, the larger the damage you deal to their health. Then, there's the Bright Bonnet skill, which pulses every 3 seconds and gives energy to you and your allies within the range. It also gives a power strength boost to any Warframes in range. Now, I did a subsume build first with Ensnare and replace Bright Bonnet. The main idea is to group enemies first, so his 4th skill will have little travel time, resulting to better kill speed. However, I reverted to his base kit because it sucks. You don't actually need to group enemies, and Bright Bonnet is huge for his kit. This skill is mainly for giving you constant energy and as well as power strength to boost your 4th skill's damage. If you pair his 2nd skill with something like Arcane Steadfast, then you will have no energy problem and you can actually spam Nokko's skill anytime you want. Moving on, his 3rd skill is called Reroute. At first, I thought that this will be my main survivability skill, but after playing the Warframe for hours, it turns out that Nokko can survive with his passive with good amount of casting speed. I will try to expand that idea later, but for now, I want to focus first on Reroute. Honestly, I was about to subsume another Helminth skill on this slot to try something else and boost the Warframe's power. But before doing so, I tested this skill on spy missions, and it turns out that it's really super handy as it's able to bypass lasers. Nokko is not just undetectable by enemies when he's on SPRODLING form, but he can also go through lasers, and he won't get detected by cameras in spy missions. So basically, the Warframe is not just fun and does deal massive damage, but he can also be useful in spy missions. Finally, his 4th skill is just pure bliss. Spore Spring is mainly toxin damage, and it bounces 10 times, dealing damage to enemies that it hits. Take note that Mushroom does invigorates this ability, and it deals more damage when you have Stink Brain or Bright Bonnet active. And get this, each bounce of the skill will increase its critical chance to the point that it can deal red crit numbers to enemies. You can only have 3 bouncing Spore Spring actives in the field though, but it's enough to obliterate a mass instantly. So, the general gameplay of Nokko looks like this. You need to ensure that you always have an active mushroom in the field so you can abuse his passive that revives Nokko after getting hit by a fatal attack. When you die, he will turn into a SPRODLING, and you will need to run to your mushroom to revive the Warframe. It's like the revive mechanic of Sevagoth, but honestly, Nokko's mechanic is better since you have more control as it uses his abilities to revive, and not the enemies. The thing about Sevagoth's revive is that you get fucked up when there's a bunch of nullifiers around, and you just can't deal with that. With Nokko, as long as you have an active mushroom, then it's 100% guaranteed that you'll get back to the fight. Just a reminder though, the mushroom has duration, and they can get nullified by nullifiers, so be careful in where you place them. Also, the mushroom will also invigorate and buff Nokko. His Stink Brain will add viral procs, which will increase the damage dealt by Spore Spring. Then, his Bright Bonnet will give you energy, and as well as ability strength to further increase the damage of your ultimate. So basically, you throw Mushroom, then throw Spore Spring, and just rinse and repeat the whole process. You can just use Reroute whenever it's needed, or you just simply want to watch a tiny Mushroom with huge asset bouncing while his Spore Spring ability is killing all enemies around him. Now, this is the build I have for Nokko. It's a 3-forma build, and the mecha set is really not necessary for this Warframe. I just tested the mecha set for its nuking effect, and it turns out to be decent with Nokko. The mod effect does proc most of the time because of the toxin damage of his 4th skill, but again, this is just optional. If you are willing to take Nokko into level cap, then I strongly recommend the Brief Respite Aura mod paired with Catalyzing Shield to replace Mecha Pulse. Better yet, you can also use Primed Redirection if you want longer shield gates in your build. Also, Arcane Energize is not needed for this build, as Steadfast with Bright Bonnet is enough to keep your energy and spam his abilities. You can replace this Arcane slot with more power strength, like Molt Augmented, or any Arcane that you deem useful for your build. The best in slot for this build is Precision Intensify to increase the damage of Spore Spring, and it's always good to pair it with Transient Fortitude, or, if you really want a huge damage boost, then Blind Rage is always an option, but in this case, you will need Arcane Energize to negate that huge energy consumption. Then, I also add Archon Continuity over the primed version. Since Nokko's Spore Spring deals toxin damage, then Archon Continuity is the better option, as it also applies corrosive status to enemies. And mind you, it always procs, and in fact, you can pair this combo with the green Archon Shards that further gives 14 stacks to corrosive for full armor strip. If you are doing that synergy, however, then I strongly suggest you take out Streamline on this build and replace it with Natural Talent for more casting speed. In fact, if you don't have yellow Tau Forged Archon Shard to get that insane boost in casting speed, then I recommend going with Natural Talent and other casting mods in the build. Now I have 187.5% casting speed in my build thanks to these Archon Shards. To be honest, this was supposed to be just for the shit and giggles, but it turns out that casting speed was the missing piece in my build. The thing is, with high casting speed, all of Nokko's abilities will be much faster. This is great since you can throw those mushrooms fast. The throw animation of the Warframe is really slow, and with high casting speed, it's really insane as you can cast Stink Brain really fast to lull enemies to sleep. This allows you to spam mushrooms all over the place also, to ensure that you have one available for revive when you take a fatal blow. I strongly recommend trying out this build. It's really fun, and it's the perfect and chaotic build for Nokko. I will share more builds from the Valis Undermined update later, so stay tuned, and I hope that you are enjoying the content. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.